Power Talk at the World Islamic Economic Forum, Kota Kinabalu, Sabah 2020. With me is Hazmi Yusof, Managing Director, Frost & Sullivan, Malaysia. So, manufacturing has a large influence in the country's economy, accounting for maybe 40% of the GDP. How do you see Malaysia practicing a more effective way of supporting the sustainable future issue while still remaining competitive as a global economic player?
Because 40% is not the right number.
Okay, so what is the number?
It's 21%.
21 only?
Yeah.
Okay.
With a projection of to be 25% at maybe 3-4 years time.
Okay.
I think very good question. We have to see it from the point of view for the last 20 years. So Malaysia has its unique selling point for the last 20 years has been it is a low cost option. So our USP is that we are low cost, and I think this is a very dangerous position to play in because sooner than later there are other countries, as we can see in Indochina, okay, and so on. It is they are providing that low cost option. And low cost option also means the quality of produce goods and otherwise is also not of the highest quality, meaning the raw material may not be in the biggest picture, sustainable list of sustainable materials.
Okay.
So I think for Malaysia we have to move on from being a low-cost USP to value creation USP.
Okay.
So the questions that many captain of industries in Malaysia is asking, how do we move that from low cost to creating value? And I think this is the path that Malaysia will need to take. So companies in Malaysia have to create value instead of the cheapest out there. So I think that's the first part. Second is, how do you do that? And I think we have the right physical and soft infrastructure to move to a more digital space, or the current buzzword is 4IR. So we need to move into that tangent where we have to digitalize our manufacturing industry. Yeah.
As a follow-up, people say that services is now king.
Yes.
And the budget, national budget, goes there. But manufacturing provides more jobs, is the argument. So where do you stand in that debate?
I think today we have to look at, not just the number of jobs, but the quality of jobs. So the quality of jobs is sitting in the services bucket, as opposed to manufacturing. I think in the longer term, with the adoption of robotics, with automation, these jobs are going to be lost anyway. So I think it is better for us to, if we have to choose, which way to go, I think services is the way to go.
Okay. So what is your take on major local companies playing a key role in providing the know-how as well as technology to reach the objective in more efficient and innovative way?
My answer is not that good. If you look at not just in Malaysia, I think this enterprises or large companies in general are basically the least innovative organizations. They have bureaucracy, they have this audit, they have this processes that they have to adhere to. So large companies everywhere in the world are just not so innovative. You look at the space, the innovation, the disruptors are all within the SME space. So to answer your question, no, I don't see these large companies playing a role in terms of turning this 180 degrees, for example. Yeah.
So in follow-up to that, if you look at the top 10 companies, technology companies, from Alphabet to Google, or Facebook, in that matter, and then you've got Huawei on this side of the world, in between maybe there's Cisco. So if you don't play that game, then you will forever be playing to this big players ecosystem. So like what China is trying to do, they disrupt the ecosystem, even block Facebook and WhatsApp and develop their own.
Yes.
So that's two different polarities. Where do you think Malaysia or a state like Sabah can choose to be?
I think Malaysia vis-a-vis Sabah, we do not have the scale, the size to pull off a China. So we are a fairly small country and state to actually do that. I think for us is to actually find those niches that's available if you're in the supporting or how do I say okay, I think let's take a look at typically Indonesia. So Indonesia, they now have I think 5 confirmed unicorns, right? Gojek, Bukalapak, Traveloka, Tokopedia, and so on. I think they've got another 2 coming up, right? 7 unicorns. But if you look at who they are, these companies in terms of innovation, they are not. These are versions of the West.
Okay.
So you have Traveloka, which is basically a what's that? See, I don't even remember like Agoda, for example, right? So they have taken this idea, like how Gojek has taken Uber as an idea, and localize it and actually make it very local. Therefore, after a while, they managed to kick out players like Uber that actually has been around longer in Indonesia. I think Malaysia is no different in that sense. And we have to move out from our, what can we do here in Sabah, what we can do here in Malaysia, but what can we do here in this region, ASEAN, Asia Pacific, and so on. Our market is just way too small and lack that intense competition for us to be able to compete regionally. You look at Indonesia, for example. Why are they, in that sense, from a organization standpoint, fitter than us? You look at Gojek, their line of services is way ahead than Grab. It's because over there they have to be competitive. So the intensity of competition pushes the boundary, make them fitter as an organization.
Correct. In your opinion, what are the obvious opportunities for investment in Sabah? Ones that we can leverage on with, like the shifting of Indonesia capital, and what should be focused upon going forward?
Okay, I think, I actually gave it a lot of thought. I think if you have to take into account the profile of middle class, what do middle class want? What do middle class spend on? I think Sabah should position itself as either a location or a platform for these many middle class Indonesian civil servants being relocated in Kalimantan and wanting to either, so tourism is definitely one. If Sabah focuses on services around attracting revenue from middle class, I think that's the other area that they want to look at. So one of the others is Sabah has a abundant resources in terms of agri-food and aqua industry, aqua food. So processed food could be one of the other areas that a middle class would want to have, maybe seafood and stuff like that. Because I give it a thought in terms of how do we compete with the Japanese players, the Chinese players that comes in and say, I can do this at, there's instances even in Malaysia where Chinese company comes in and say, we'll do this all for you, this infrastructure for you, and you pay us 20 years from now. Malaysia can't compete with this kind of big boys, right? So I think what we can do is, targeting that new population or middle class in Kalimantan. I think it's a interesting move.
Which should include halal and toyuban industries?
Oh yes, definitely. It's a big and growing industry.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you.